All right, so back by popular demand, let's talk about habits and routines, and most specifically, how to get yourself out of a funk or a slump or a rut, how not to let a routine become a rut that doesn't serve you. All right, welcome. So I am actually recording this video as a team video. This is for my team, Sparta Nation, but I know to my core, actually, that what we do as coaches is what we do in life. And everything we do as coaches, the nutrition, the fitness, the personal growth, the community, all those pieces as part of our coaching business, as part of our coaching journey, every single one of those pieces on their own make us better. But when we put it together into this amazing life stew of awesomeness, it helps us become the person that we are meant to be. It helps us peel back the layers and uncover the potential and possibility that lies within us. And I think that that's not just specific to coaching. I think that is something that every single human being on the planet wants to do in some way. We want to tap into the potential and the possibility that lies within us. We want to dream big and go after big goals. I truly believe that every single human being on this planet has so much potential within them and is stronger than they think they are. And that doesn't matter if you're a coach or not. So while this video is going in my Sparta Nation team page, I thought, why not just share it with everyone? I feel like not only does it give you a little bit of a taste of what we talk about in our team page, if you're not a coach on our team, but it also just might be helpful to you in life. So if you want to talk about routines, if you want to talk about habits, if you want to talk about goals, if you want to talk about getting out of a funk, getting out of a rut, getting out of any of that, just stay tuned. Let's talk about it. All right, so let's start right here. Just right out of the gate, let's start with this book, You Are a Badass. If you are a coach on our team, Sparta Nation, or if you're someone who stumbled upon this video, you're just looking for a way to get out of a rut, get out of a routine that's not serving you anymore, welcome wherever you are. I am putting this specifically in my team page, in my Sparta Nation coaching page. My coaches who feel like my family, who continue to blow my mind all the time. I'm obsessed with what we get to do together every single day. And if you're just someone who stumbled upon this video talking about habits and routines and all of that kind of stuff, welcome, because let's dive into it. Let's talk about it, and let's start with this book. But before we get here, we got to back up a little bit. So, and I know that I've talked about this different times, but because especially now with so much uncertainty and because it's so fresh in my life, I think it bears repeating. I think the story bears repeating. So for the past 7 months, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 7 months, I had the almost exact same morning routine. And if you go back even before that, the beginning of 2019, January, February, and March, every single day, I did not miss one day for 3 months. I was up every day at 5 a.m., even when we traveled. And we traveled a lot in those 3 months, had a lot of trips to New York. Remember when we used to travel? Had a lot of trips to New York. I had a trip with my coaching team. We had some trips. So in 3 months, January, February, March of 2019, I was up every morning at 5 a.m. I was pressing play every morning at 6 a.m. with my rooster crew for 3 months straight. Took a little break. Had an absolutely incredible, phenomenal, memorable summer. Went to Paris, did a cruise. Summit was in Indianapolis. Summit, our Beachbody yearly conference, was in Indianapolis. It was an incredible summer. And came back, took Jesse to school. So all of a sudden I was an empty nester. And it took me not till October, but part of August and September to hone in on what was going to be a good morning routine for me, because after all, I didn't have any children at home anymore. So one would think I could just get up whenever I wanted to, right? One would think that it just really didn't matter about my morning routine because I would have all day long. No, I am running a multi-million-dollar business with a lot of pieces in it, and that multi-million-dollar business pays for my girls to go to college. I don't have time to just be messing around. But it did take me a little bit to determine, because for so many years my entire schedule was dictated by school, right? School drop off, school pickup, all of that. for, how old's Jenna, 24, whatever, all these years, 20 plus years, it's been dictated by school schedules. And then all of a sudden last September, I didn't have that dictating my schedule anymore. And it took me a little bit to find my ideal waking up time. I experimented with 6, I experimented with 5, and I kind of settled on this 5:30 routine at that time. And then in October, I really dialed it in. And for October, November, December, January, February, March, and April, I started out at 5 a.m. every morning, and then I even backed it up in January, February, March, most of April, and I was up at 4 a.m. And we did a fun little challenge. I did a little fun social media challenge in February called 5-uary, where everyone got up at 5 a.m. and then I backed it up even more. And a lot of that was inspired by one of my all-time favorite books, most pivotal books that I've read in a long time, and that's Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. And he gets up, he's the CEO of Disney, he gets up every day at 4:15 a.m. He's like, I got a lot to do. And it's also quiet, and he gets control over his morning. So the more I backed up my morning, inspired by that, actually the more productive I felt for a period of time. So for 7 months, and again, going back even further, for 3 months, and then kind of a little bit off schedule, and for 7 months, I had schedules that served me. I had morning routines and habits that served me. They served me in how I wanted to feel, which is specific to each person. I wanted to feel productive. I wanted to feel confident. I wanted to feel calm. I wanted to feel centered. I wanted to feel focused. I wanted to feel happy. I would envision, this sounds kind of corny, but I was also reading Gabby Bernstein's book, Super Attractor. I would envision sort of this light kind of coming into me, almost like a river of light and just like positive energy. And my morning routine in those 7 months was working for me, even through most of the pandemic. And then May came. And while I navigated a lot of the pandemic, and remember, I had 2 girls in New York City that we had to get out fast. I still have one in Washington, D.C. And I'm always a little like, don't you want to come home? So I navigated through bringing my daughters home. I navigated through, okay, people are now back home. There's a lot. And then May hit. And May had a lot of stuff in it. Aside from the pandemic, one of my dearest longtime friends lost her husband to cancer. Some of the girls had some stuff. Jenna had a situation with a dog that she was fostering. A lot of hard conversations about race relations in the United States, a lot of kind of reckoning and processing. And there was just a lot in my head in May. And I got off my schedule. I got off my 4 a.m., my 4:35. I was off. And here's what I've learned after a lot of years on this planet. We're going to get off. And there was a time before coaching and before a culture of personal development, there was a time in my life, in my 20s, that I would have beat myself up in my head for getting off my schedule. I would have said not very nice things to myself that I would never have said to someone else. I would have felt very defeated, and I would not have had the tools to get back on track years and years ago. Thanks to a personal growth journey, thanks to being part of a company, of a business, of a community, of a team who believes in the value of personal development, who knows that the only way you do anything in life is by growing yourself. Thanks to all of that, when May hit, and for me, it was sort of the culmination of all the, not only just going through that first piece of being an empty nester and transitioning into that new season of life, but then having everyone come home and not knowing what's happening this fall, and then all the personal stuff that happened. It was like it all came to a head in May. And I also realized my routines and my habits were no longer serving me. They were no longer doing the things that I wanted them to do, which was, if you remember, They didn't make me feel productive. They didn't make me feel competent. They didn't make me feel centered or grounded. They didn't make me feel focused. I wasn't being creatively stimulated. I didn't find joy in my morning routine. The alarm would go off at 4 a.m. and I'd set it for 5 and then immediately be mad at myself for not just getting up. And then I would come downstairs and I wasn't loving the books that I was reading. And before a culture of personal development and feeling a responsibility, and that might be a strong word, but just I love that word. I love the word responsibility, but other people might find it to be a hindrance. I feel a responsibility to be a light for others in this world, both for my team, but also most importantly for my family, and just in the world. I just feel a responsibility for that because I now have the tools that I can be. And so all of that kind of in my head made me go, okay, JV, what's happening right now? What's going on? Because what's going on for you ain't working. I was going through a lot of grief in May. I was dealing with a lot of personal stuff in May, but I can tell you this, it doesn't matter what's happening in my personal life. My business is my anchor. It is my foundation because, as I said before, every single piece of this business makes me a better human on this planet. So no, I don't take a break from my business. I don't walk away or step away from the very entity that makes me better. And I also know that when I step away and I take a step back, which I don't, if I did, I would lose so much trust. I would lose the trust of my team. I would lose the trust of my family with whom I've shared our goals and what we're trying to build, as a family and as a business. I would lose the trust of my customers. I would lose trust in myself because I would have taken the easy way out. So that was not going to happen. And all the personal stuff that was swirling around me, the business is still my anchor. The business is still what keeps me centered and grounded. But the morning routine that helps me build the business, that helps me, help others, it helps me stay on track and helps me help others and helps me help others and helps me help my family. It helps me create legacy. It helps me dream bigger and hit big goals and hopefully make a bigger impact in this life. I want to leave a legacy when I'm gone. I want there to be impactful, contributions that I have made. And my morning routine, maybe as silly or as basic as it sounds, that's what sets me up to be able to do all of this stuff. So here's what happens. I realize in May that my morning routine isn't serving me. I realize that we've kind of gone off the rails as a team, that we've kind of lost our way a little bit. I also realize we're all human and this happens. And rather than spending way too much time and energy, which I've done in the past, and I've done in the past as a coach, because every day really the goal is to be getting better in some way. So who I am as a female on this planet, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a spouse, as a mom, as a leader, like all of these things should be better now in 2020 than they were in 2019 and 2018. And so I've gone through these kind of moments, and there were times when it took me a heck of a long time to get through them. And this time it took me the month of May. And that's a lot of evolution and a lot of growth, yeah? Here's the cool part. I get to shorten your learning curve because I'm going to tell you what I did. This is what I did. First of all, I gave myself grace. I no longer spend an inordinate amount of time beating myself up in my head. That does no good, changes nothing, and just makes me feel worse. Okay, so that's a stupid waste of energy. True? It's a stupid waste of energy. Number 2, I do not step back from my business. I do not. I may need a moment to breathe as far as showing up and being this bold, passionate leader for my team, because sometimes some of that boldness and that passion needs to come back to me. I need to bring that energy right back in here to me to get out of my rut that I'm in, to get out of the headspace that I'm in. That's okay. That's called being human too. I mean, if you were on 100% all the time and 100% dialed in all the time and clicking on all 4 cylinders all the time, I might think there is something a little wrong with you. You know, like we're going to have these seasons where we're freaking on it. Like I was on it for 7 months, and then May hit and I was not. And now here we are in June. And I said this morning in my closet talk on Instagram stories, I said, it's interesting. I've made just a few tweaks in the last couple weeks, and I already this morning felt so much better. And I think if you were watching my IG stories, you probably saw that. You probably saw it yesterday. You probably saw it today. I feel better. I've made some tweaks. So here's what I did. I went back and said, okay, morning routine not serving me, not helping me feel the way I want to feel. So you need to, number one, assess what you want your morning routine to do, your evening routine to do, your afternoon routine to do, your workflow to do, whatever routine and habit that we're talking about. You need to assess how you want it to make you feel. I know how I want my morning routine to make me feel. You need to decide how you want your habit or your routine to make you feel. Number two, assess if the current routine that you have is making you feel that way and setting you up for a productive day. I'm going to talk specifically to the morning routine since that's what I needed to change. That's the language that I will use. Is that setting you up for a productive day or is it not? So number one, how do you want to feel? Number two, is what you're doing right now working for you in terms of pushing you towards your goals, pushing you towards your vision, helping you feel productive, whatever it is that you are working towards. Is it that you just get up so you have extra time for Netflix? Sorry, friend, that's not a productive morning routine, and that doesn't create an extraordinary life. No. But is what you're doing working for you? If it's not, and you feel like you're off, then number three, it's time to make a change. Now, I did a call yesterday with my good friend and fellow coach who lives in Utah. Her name is Ashley, and we were talking about in this mastermind, the difference between the knowing and the doing, and this gap between knowing and doing. And this is where I feel like, so here's knowing over here on like this side of the mountain, and here's doing over here on this side of the mountain. And here is where I feel like a lot of people get caught up. They know, but they don't do. And I don't understand that, because once we know better, we do better. It just is what it is. And if we don't, then we forfeit our, I don't even know if it's ability to say, oh, I just don't know why this isn't working. I don't know why I'm in such a rut anymore. No. You forfeit that. Once you know what you need to do and you don't do it, you don't get to say that anymore, because you know what you need to do. You're just not doing it. So what you can say is, I know what I need to do. I'm just not doing it. You feel free to say that all day long. When I have said that, when I have forced myself to say that, that feels sucky. I don't enjoy saying that at all, because we're smarter than that and we're better than that. So try out saying, yes, I know that I need to do X, Y, Z. I'm just choosing not to do it. And see how that feels to you. Because to me, if you're anything like me at all, like to me, that felt so sucky. Because I'm like, well, why am I not doing it? Why? Is my goal and my dream not big enough? Is my family not important enough? Is my team not important? Like, why am I not doing this? This is so silly. So this is the gap, the knowing and the doing gap. To shorten that gap, to build a bridge over that gap, I go back to, okay, what is in my morning routine that is working? What is not? How can I shift it? And then you have to be willing to explore, experiment, and play a little bit. So what the morning routine is that's happening now in June, which is making me feel like 1,000 times better. I get up at 5 every morning. I'm not getting up at 4 right now. I'm getting up at 5 every morning. And about 6:30, Jessie, my youngest, and I take one of the dogs, Winnie, because we're not sure if Lady can handle the whole walk. So we take Winnie, we drive downtown Carmel, and we walk 4-ish, a little bit over, miles on the Monon Trail. The Monon Trail used to be railroad tracks. They've made it into this beautiful paved path that's very long, and it is beautiful and it is peaceful, and there are other people out there who are also walking and running and walking their dogs and biking, and everyone is happy because it's a sunny day in the Midwest. We're so happy about that, and we're outside and not quarantined in our house, and we're walking our dogs, and we love dogs, and it's just awesome. And we walk, it's about an hour, 15, by the time we do it and get back in the car, and I come home and we go right to the basement where we meet Josie and we do bar blend. And we're finishing that. Actually, we'll finish that on Friday. So I think we're going to do Morning Meltdown 100 after that. But we do bar blend, and then we do muscle burns fat. And back to back. So that, and then I come up and I'm working with a life coach now. So that's shift number 2, which I'll get to in a minute. Working with a life coach now. I do a little bit of work with my life coach. I do a little bit of social media. I might answer some emails. And instead of doing my gratitude and goals in the very beginning of my morning, I've shifted it to the end of the day. So, number 1, I assessed what I was doing. I looked at my morning routine. Number 2, I looked at if it was helping me feel the way I wanted to feel. Number 3, I began to make changes, and I was willing to experiment with those changes. The first change was the 5 a.m. wake up time instead of 4 a.m. The second change was, instead of getting up and going right downstairs and doing gratitude and goals and reading and journaling like right away, I'm walking now, I'm outside. Never again, probably, will I have this opportunity, this moment in time, this summer that I get to spend every morning doing 4 miles with my youngest daughter. I'll probably never get that again. It's worth shifting my gratitude and goals to the end of the day to get that. That's irreplaceable, So think about how you can shift and tweak. And so what becomes the consistent thread, it for me is the morning routine. But what happens within the morning routine can shift and change according to how it's serving you. If it's not serving you and you're staying in it, that's a choice you're making. Because you're bumping up against it. You can feel the friction. I could feel the friction in May that the morning routine I had wasn't serving me. I could feel the friction. I was bumping up against constantly trying to make it work, and it wasn't working. And when you let that go and almost like take fresh eyes and go, okay, let's change this up a little bit. And kind of start, like turn the page and kind of start fresh. The creative energy and the joy that can come out of that is so much better than trying to stay with something that doesn't work. It's not working. So why are you staying with it? So I get a lot of questions about how do you get yourself out of a funk? How do you get yourself out of a rut? Well, that's action. That's the knowing and the doing. You do have to know. So you have to take a minute and assess. What are you doing that's working? What are you doing that's not? And when it's working, how does it make you feel? Like, how do you want to feel? And then when it's not working, why is it not working? And what can you change? And what can you shift? And then be willing to play an experiment. So back to this book. I had been reading 10X Rule. I had been reading some other stuff. It was not doing it for me. And I am the biggest advocate you will ever come across for, if that book is not serving you, put it the freak down and pick up something else. There are billions of books in this world. I was an English major, a high school English teacher. I am passionate about reading. I am equally passionate about not reading something that doesn't fire you up. Now, will every single book you read fire you up like every single book? No, that's okay. Not every book's going to change your life, but every book should have something in it that keeps you coming back for more and that is serving you in where you want to go and who you want to be. It doesn't mean you can't also read the occasional fiction or every once in a while a little InStyle magazine. Of course you can. I mean, we need to know what the new lip gloss is, people. Come on now. But what I really want to know more about is how can I create an extraordinary life? So 90% of my time is going to be reading this kind of stuff. 10% of my time is going to be reading this kind of stuff. And that's okay. That's a little brain candy, and that's okay too. But once you know what you need to do, and really the knowing is as simple as, I know I need to make a change. That's almost the most important part right there. You may not know exactly what you need to change, but the knowing that you need to change something, then if you know you need to change something and 3 weeks later you're still going, gosh, I'm still in this rut, I don't know what to do. That's on you, boo. It just is. Because you are a grown up. and you are smart and you are strong and you have endless resources at your fingertips. So if you aren't making a change or experimenting and playing and exploring some changes you can make, that's on you. And you forfeit the ability, the chance, the right, the whatever to be able to say, I just don't know why it's not working. You forfeit that because you're not even trying to figure it out. And then once you get into the doing piece of it, you still got to be open to, if it's not working, to changing it. So I changed my book. I got rid of 10X Rule. I got rid of some of the others. I was just put it on my bookshelf. It doesn't mean I won't come back to 10X Rule. I've already read it. I was rereading it, and you do get a lot of new knowledge on a reread because you're a new person. You're a different person. This is a reread for me. But I haven't read it for so long. I'm coming at it in such a different place, 2 or 3 years later, probably 2 years later than I did the first time, that of course I'm going to hear new stuff. It's okay to reread. But the book I was reading was not serving me. The morning, the gratitude and the goals and the reading and the journaling in the morning right away, that was not serving me. So I shifted and I changed. And just a few days into it, literally probably 10 days into it, I already feel so much better. And it doesn't have to be giant life overhauls. It never does. That's what makes January 1st so mind-boggling to me. Y'all, nobody's going to overhaul their life on January 1st. Nobody's going to go to the gym for 6 hours and only eat lettuce and give up all the vices and read 6 hours. No, none of that is happening. But we can make small shifts and adjustments and changes in our daily habits and routines so that our routine does not become a rut. There is a difference. A routine should be something that soothes you, grounds you, centers you, and helps you feel productive and focused. A rut is a place that you're scratching to get out of because it's not serving you anymore. We don't want to be here. We want to be in a habit and a routine that is pushing us forward towards our goals. So you've got to assess. You've got to figure out what's working. You've got to figure out how you want to feel. And then you have to be willing to explore and play and find that morning routine or whatever that routine is that you're searching for that works for you. And then last, you have to know that you're going to do that all over again and over again and over again. So this morning routine right now, think about it. At some point, Jesse will go back to school and we won't do a 5 a.m. walk anymore. So my routine will shift again. And then it'll get cold and dark here in Indiana. And my routine will shift again. And then it'll shift again. And as long as we are on the constant quest with the goal and the vision that we have for our lives, and we're on the constant quest of becoming our best selves, we will find it and we will evolve and grow. The goals and the visions, they don't change. Don't diminish your goals and the vision for this bright, beautiful, shiny life that you have. Don't downsize your goals and your vision. Up level your habits and your routines. Don't change your goals and bring your vision, down to this microscopic little pinpoint. No. Adjust your habits and your routines to match your goals and your visions. Keep those steadfast. Keep the routine the consistent thread, but what happens within it, change, explore, adjust, and grow. You're not doing the same thing now that you did when you were a teenager. And if you are, it's a conversation I don't want to have, okay? So think about that. You grow, you evolve, you get better. It's the same in this business. It's the same in life. If your routines and your habits aren't serving you, change them because you can. Your goals and your visions, they should stay the same because you can get there. But the path that you take to get there, that might need to change. But that's kind of the cool part of this business is we have that culture that fosters that. It's also kind of the cool part of life, isn't it? Because I think life would be really boring if we were still doing the same thing that we were doing like 5 years ago. I love the constant evolution and the growth. So if you're looking for a new book, I suggest this one. But mostly I suggest any book that speaks to you. I suggest any habit and routine that speaks to you. Your way is not wrong. It's just your way. But you have to be willing to assess, to do the work, to play, explore, and to find it. I believe in you. I believe that you are stronger, smarter, and just probably way cooler than you even think you believe. I believe that. I believe you have potential and possibility that has not even been tapped. Man, I'd love to see that come out of you. Make it a great day.